it. Woo. Big time sneezes. All right, check this out. I don't know if I have sound yet. Let me double check if I got sound or not. Okay, yeah, it's maxed. It's peaked out. All right, so I'll do this. Hello. There we go. Okay, it's better. All right, so check this out. I got one thing I love about the CAN system on the Emtron is how well it works with the Subaru CAN bus. So look right here, brake pressure front. The Subaru, you may not know, the GR is one of the first Subarus to implement actual brake pressure sensor. So I have that here. So brake pressure in bar is monitored by the ECU, which is really cool. That means I can use that for stuff. Like if I wanted to enable differential control or traction control or things like that, I can adjust the differential control based on brake pressure. So if I have very little brake pressure, I might not lock the diff up. I leave it open, which would be a good idea. Like if I'm coasting, I'm decelerating, but I'm coasting, I might not want the diff to lock up, because if something's getting close to losing traction, then due to like say I'm in a corner, I'm not on the brakes, I'm on a corner, I keep that diff locked up, I'm locking the tires in the speed, the inside tires, outside tires, front tires, rear tires, all kind of want to go the same speed. If one of them is close to losing traction, then the difference in speed will be another thing that adds to the chance of it losing grip. So the diff will be fairly open in that condition. But then if I lay on the brakes, the fronts are more likely to lock up potentially. Depending on how your brake system is, brake bias is, but one of them is more likely to lock up, and you can increase the lockup ratio on the differential based on brake pressure. We don't have that functionality enabled on this car because he still has the stock DCC controller, which works. But if I didn't have the stock DCC controller and I had, say, the map DCCD, I could plumb in a 40 output into it, or a 40 input into the map controller that I could use as I could put like a PWM on it and pulse that input, put like a capacitor and resistor on it to give it basically a variant voltage, and then I could use that to tell the map DCC to increase the duty cycle on the differential with brake pressure. So there's things like that that you can do, as well as also I think you can do it. Double check. I don't want to be incorrect about that one, but I think with the cal control, I think we have other tables. Traction tables right there. So we got the traction tables. We can utilize the traction tables, change those, and that's it. That's all we got right now. That would be handy for that. All right. I was hoping that there was also differential or stability tables associated with that, but it does have it. It is a function to differential control here, which we're not using on this card, like I said, but I can feed all kinds of inputs into it. They have trim tables, basically. You select almost anything you want, and that would be a really cool thing to use. So, what else we got? That's it. All right, so right now, this is Matt's car. Get some waviness there. You see on the right side, it's 5.0 to 5.3, but you can hear it in the car too, and it's affecting the air-fuel ratio. What's interesting about that is that I don't have the TMAF even working for idle. So you'll see that this map air mass and the air mass final, they mirror each other. They're the same. Whereas this one isn't doing anything, because that table is right here, this blend table. So right now it's all map based. If I hit this, now it's all based on throttle position. And you can see now that the final right here is closer tied to the TMAF than it is to the map anymore. But regardless of that, I don't like that I still have this oscillation right there. So I'm trying to search out where it's coming from. Why do I have such an oscillation? So, I mean, it's not a huge oscillation. I mean, we're looking at 4.9 to 5.4-ish at its peaks. You know, this one says 5.6 on the screen, down to 4.8. So, I mean, it's not a gigantic oscillation, but it's an oscillation nonetheless. And I can hear it in the exhaust note, and if I hear it in the exhaust note, then it bugs me. So I definitely want to knock that down. So I'm going to look at a few things. I'm going to check. You can see right here, TP, this is for the position of the throttle. You see it's moving around quite a bit, which means the idle control, in my opinion, is too active. And then we go here, and all of a sudden, our issue is starting to show. So what I'm seeing here is the throttle body target here and the actual position of the throttle body here are obviously not tracking. So the motor's going up and down. Now, this technique can be done on purpose. Some of the cars I've seen, you've had to do this. You've had to have the motor current cycle up and down really quick around your target because there's slack in the gears. A little bit of slack in the gear teeth. The butterfly can move a little bit in between positions on the gear teeth, and the car starts to change its idle. And then what happens is it'll like be against the tooth one side, and then the throttle motor will start to turn, and it'll move a little bit, and then it'll slop, and then it'll go the other way, the slop, and you get this weird oscillation. So they take it, they wiggle the teeth back and forth just a tiny little bit. I mean, you can see here it's 0.something%, right? So just this little teeny wiggle that just keeps the slop, you know, in the middle. It keeps it from let the slop dictate the throttle. But this is too much, I think. I feel like this is too much, and the fact that I'm seeing it in the map tells me that it's too much. Again, I'm seeing just a small oscillation, you know, but again, I can hear it, and that tells me that's not right. So first thing I want to do is I just want to take a peek and see what I get going on here. So I do think I have a little too much here. Whoopsie, I hit the button on accident. I think I have a little too much on the closed loop. My integral is probably too high. Yeah, that's pretty high. It's not super high. I did another car earlier today that was almost that high. But that's a little high. So I'm going to lower this down some. That's the integral. The derivative is really low, 0.01, so that's really close to nothing. The proportional is 0.01, so that's also basically nothing. But I'm going to take this derivative, I'm going to zero it out, and just see if I get a big change all of a sudden in my throttle behavior. I'm not seeing it. Look in the lower left corner here, you see your 3.6, 3.9. That's still a lot, and I'm really surprised by that because the integral is so low. What's my refresh rate? Oh, that's high. Okay, that's one reason. That'll do it. Slow that down. I got a filter on there. That's good. That's good. Let's go to here. I got enough authority there. That should be okay. And enough authority there. That should be okay. Okay, so it's settled down a smidge with that one change, but it's still moving around quite a bit. And I think that's going to be all the drive-by-wire system. That's not going to be the idle. I don't think it's commanding that. But we can check that. We can go over here to our table, go to idle. I never can see. It's always with boost. And we can look here. So our integral and derivative and proportional aren't moving at all. So even the fact that I lowered that down to see if it changed anything, nothing happened because it's in the dead band. And I have the integral so low, and I have the refresh rate set at 5 times a second so low, it's not changing much. You look right here, throttle, area, demand, idle. This one is changing a little bit. So the question is here is what's changing it? It's not the closed loop control. That's probably going to be a switch, something that's switching and change it. That might even be like a fan or power steering. Actually, probably power steering switch. Let's look at that. I'm sure I passed by it. I don't see it, but there's a section that says switches. There you go, switch status. Oh, AC switch, on and off. Oh, interesting. Well, that's our problem. Let's see, let me turn it on. Okay, I'm getting no change. Peculiar. So I don't know what input that's on at the second. I'll have to look into that, but AC switch is cycling on and off, and I think AC switch on this one is on CAN bus. Let's double check. That's really interesting. I like the search feature that they have because I never know where the fuck to find shit sometimes. AC is the pressure, it's nothing. Okay, for some reason I thought AC was on the CAN bus, but that might be the newer ones. You really gotta check it out on these cars. Some years it goes to the CAN bus, some years it goes to, so this says the evap temperature switch is on the CAN bus here. I don't see that on here. This says AC pressure switch is on the CAN bus. I'm not seeing, oh, that's system pressure, that's not switch. That's not the AC compressor switch. See, that's the AC, that's the button. So where's that at? AC switch. DI4. Okay, so let's look at the raw inputs for DI4 real quick. See what we're getting here. DI4. Yeah, I definitely got that trend. 13.0, 13.0, 13, but that's like a fixed. I don't think that's the AC switch. Because that's not changing when I hit the button. Oh, if I hold the button down to this, hold the button down, there we go. But it's oscillating. Okay, so it probably needs a filter. Let's take a look. So it definitely happens. Okay, so filters here. Active edge is off. Let's change that to both. Just see what's up. And then put a 10 filter on it. And then that one, we'll put this at 6 volts because it was a 13 to 0 volt switch. See what happens. DI4. Okay, DI4 is now fixed at 11. It's steady at 11. I'm going to hit the button again. Okay, nothing's changed. That's because I put pull up on. Pull up was a bad call. Let's try it again. Okay. Still oscillating. 0, 13. So it probably got low system pressure. Now it's steady. So it probably has low system pressure in the AC system. Because the AC system. So on some of these cars, the pressure switch is actually in line with the request. And if the pressure is wrong, then it just turns the request off. So I should look into that for the 12 just to make sure that it's set up right here. I should have those service manuals. I think I got them on this computer. Is this computer or the other one? I thought I had this computer. There we go. 11, 16. 11 should have the same manual as this here. Alright, so 11 is when they changed the wiring diagram on these cars. So 11 and 12 should be the same. Alright, so the manual open here. Let's see what we got. ECM. So pressure switch here is on C7. Okay, and that goes right to ground. Okay, so that is C7 right to ground on that. So pressure switch is its own thing there. But it looks like main joint connector. That's usually a ground, but we got a fuse, evaporation sensor. So it comes in 12 volts into here. It's got to be ground somewhere over here. It wouldn't work. So we go to this connector, main fuse box, to this relay, through another joint connector to the ECU. So that's the relay control. Then it goes here to the evaporation switch, which also goes to the ECM and to the AC control panel. Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. Looking at that manual AC model. Like, that doesn't make sense. 7 issues with why that wasn't making sense. Look at the wrong AC. There we go. Auto AC. What's what we got here? That'll make more sense. Okay. ECM pressure switch to ground. That is a fixed input. So, and that is to the ECU. That is not through the CAN bus at all. So what do I have? AC switch. AC pressure switch is in fact DI13. Okay. So that's good. I can double check that that's correct in a minute here. Control panel. This is usually going to be your request on the control panel. And then usually there's a, here's the relay for the compressor. Here's the clutch. So power from the relay. Yeah, power from the relay comes from the same power supply as the pressure switch. And it looks like it gets interrupted. So when the pressure switch opens, it removes power. So it tells the ECU the pressure is low or high. I don't know if it's high or low switch. And then when it tells the ECU what it's doing, it also removes the control power from the relay to turn off the compressor. So it acts as a safety and it tells the ECU why it performed its safety like that. Okay, so question now is, so that comes from here into there. I mean, that sure looks like it grounds. It can't be ground. So that's the ground there for the relay. So through here, ground relay activates relay. So this is powering something on the dash. I wonder if that's the AC light. Yeah, that makes sense. Except the light is when you push the button. The light isn't when it's running. It's smooth right now. What the heck? Nope, still doing a little bit. And what I say pressure was? DI13. Steady. Oh, maybe I got 13 setup wrong. Let's take a look. Yep. Let's turn that off. But that's it right there. Let's hit that. This 6. Okay. Let's double check that diagram again. What we got? Oh no, I didn't want that to be pulled up. Duh. See right here. So if this is 12 volts, here's ground. The way the pull-up works, there's a really high resistance resistor, usually like 1K or 10K ohm or something in that range, that puts 5 volts on this wire. And when you short this to ground, that resistance is so high that with just the tiniest bit of current flow, all the voltage is dropped across that resistor. So the ECU will see 5 when there's no current flow, and then, or 12 in this case, it's 12 volt. they'll see 12 when there's no current flow, and then when the switch grounds, it sees 0 because that resistor is such a high resistance, it doesn't allow enough current flow through it for you to see any voltage on that line anymore. So I should have kept the pull-up enabled on that. And if I looked longer at the diagram, I would see why. I'll make this a 10 as well for the filter. Okay. So it's a 12 now. It's not changing or doing anything with AC. So it's seeing 12 volts, which is the pull-up, which actually is kind of low for the pull-up. I figured right now the pull-up would be like 14 volts, but it's on a regulated 12 apparently, because here's the battery voltage of 14. So it's on a regulated 12 on pull-up. And I cycled the AC on and off, which I hear turning on and off. There's no difference there. So the low pressure switch is not cycling, or it's not properly connected, one of the two. So I should double check the wiring on this to make sure that it is indeed connected, because that's just not normal behavior. I feel like that's not the behavior I should be seeing on that switch. So where the harness diagram is, Chase, we got to my papers earlier. Chase! But we can see 4 here is now stable. Of all those papers you took, or any of them the wiring diagram? Okay. DI4, yeah. So DI4 is steady. Unless I turn on the compressor. That's really weird. DI4 is this guy right here. No, that's not DI4. It sure seems to me that the AC request switch is on the CAN bus. That's how it behaves. Yet when I hold that button down, it saw a difference in voltage there. Unless that's just because. Okay, yeah, it's just that. So let's check that. Take this off, put this on CAN real quick. See if that changes. Nope. Nope, definitely not. That's just a weird thing. It's just pressure. Steering wheel angle. That's really cool. I like that it's like near 0. Like, it's good. Gear shift force. I'm excited about that one on the other car that we're doing the sequential on. Steering pressure on there, resistance on there. All right. All right, AC's not blowing very cold, so I think it's the pressure switch, and I think the pressure switch is not connected to DI13 as it says there on the thing. I think that's what's going on because the AC's not blowing cold. The pump is cycling. See the switch there is cycling. So I think actually it is the pressure switch that's cycling as well. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna double check that it's even hooked to DI13 because I feel like that's probably the root of it, the problem. Okay, turn the AC back off. And okay, so that switch is no longer cycling on us. Let's go back and look at our throttle plate, see if that's all it was. Wow, look at that, look at idle. There's still a little wiggle, but that's a lot more stable. Let's go to drive-by-wire control. Wow, okay. So we're seeing two things here. One, when we're getting a cycling signal and it's telling the drive wire to move quickly, it's not doing it. Like it's not moving uh, totally in time with it. That oscillation was enough to show that the PID control for the drive wire system isn't quite there. It's close, but it's not quite there because the the frequency that we were getting that oscillation was just perfect to show how much lag there was in the drive-by-wire system. Like right now, we look at this spot for the drive-by-wire, and it looks really steady. I give it throttle with these big changes, and it's pretty good. But you see a little bit of gap here, and here, and here. It's normal to see a little bit of gap in there. But what we're seeing now is just that there actually is a little bit of tweaking that could be done on the drive-by-wire system. Now, am I going to do it? Probably not. Take a peek at it, see where it's at. But I don't think so. I might, actually. That's kind of low right there. That's a little closer. Well, that's even closer. There, look at that. The green line's almost laid out the purple line there. Okay, turn this AC on. See if that trend still shows a little bit. You see that the green and the purple still do not line up on top of each other. And once we get those big spikes, that trend it'll auto scale on our display, and we'll get to see it a little better. But I can hear it less. It still is definitely in effect, but I can hear it less. Now, I mean, I'm loading the engine and unloading the engine with the AC compressor, and I'm changing my idle target quite a bit. When it sees the load for the AC, it says, "Oh, my idle speed's supposed to go up, so my idle target should go up," and then the throttle position is going to swing up with that as well because that's what it's supposed to do. So if I look at F3 here and we go to idle, here's idle airflow demand going up and down, the half a percent. So my throttle here is going up a full percent. So yeah, that's expected. We have this oscillation being told to the idle control system, you know, make shit happen. So okay, without that though, That's a lot nicer. So I'm happy with that. The car sounds way better. So I got to figure out why the AC stuff isn't working right. Oh, you know what? I think the pump, the output is reversed. Check the compressor. Nope, compressor's not spinning. I'm gonna turn this on. Now, compressor not spinning at all. Okay, so no compressor spinning. And AC clutch. Should be a low side. It should be switched. That's what it should be. Let's test the output. On. I didn't hear it, Gage. I don't see it engaged. Eyesight driver. Yeah, I got nothing. Alright, so I have no action from the AC compressor. Granted, it's cold as balls here, but when you test the output, it should engage that output. Now, again, if that pressure switch is off, it's gonna secure. It's gonna isolate power to it anyway, so it could just be that the pressure switch is tripped. But this kind of helps to confirm that it's not working right. All right, after that cold air in here, I've had the freaking AC blast in here. Well, there's no pump, but obviously it's 20 degrees out here. Sun is drawing air from the outside. All right, time to do fun stuff. Let's do fun stuff now. It's enough of that. Let me look and see if I got chats. I have been ignoring that. See if it's working. There we go. OEST has non-canners, less involved can system. I see some simpler standalone can be used on 08 and earlier. They use the term simpler to sound better than saying cheaper. Okay, so 08 STI is can. 08 and up STI is can. There's just different can stuff through the years as to how much is in the can system. In 15, more stuff went on the CAN bus. So 8 to 14 has almost the same CAN protocol. I think they changed a couple things in like 11, like steering position sensor or something like that. And then 15 and up is more stuff on the CAN bus than used to be. So, and you say simpler as in cheaper. Yeah, well, whatever. If there wasn't anything in the system, yeah, it won't spin the nothing in the system, but I don't know why there's nothing in the system. Is there not anything in the system? I didn't break the system loose. I don't know, maybe they did. If there's nothing in the system, then yeah, it won't spin because of the pressure sensor, as I explained earlier. But that doesn't explain the oscillation that I'm seeing on that line. That's what I was trying to figure out. It's why I'm getting oscillation on that line. The compressor made no attempt to start, but I'm getting this beep 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 beep, beep on the line that was causing the idle to be all wonky. So yeah. Anyways, it's good now. Idle's way better. You did when rebuilding. Oh, there we go. I didn't know. I still don't know why the oscillation is occurring. That part's bugging me, but regardless of that, if it's not going to work, I'm not going to fuck with it anymore. Now that I know that it's not working, I got the idle to be stable because that oscillation was causing the idle to be wonky. So now, idle is like a dream. I mean, it is rock steady now. There's no issues there at all. There's the driver wire. Flat. idle speed control. There's our idle RPM error. That's our RPM. That's our target. That's our error. You can see we're within 15 RPM of our target. So that's nice. Nice and steady. Everything sounds really good. Happy with that. Fan or something's kicked on and off. That's it. That's good. Okay. So that's good to know. I didn't know there's no Freon in the system. It's not Freon anymore. It's refrigerants. Freon's bad for the environment. Right, this dyno is not set correctly at all. Not at all. It's not. Okay, just find out. Perfect. Set the dyno speed. That was 3770 RPM. In fourth gear, now we can synchronize the dyno to the car. It's not perfect because there is tire growth or shrinkage based on what kind of tire it is, size, and the rollers and the torque and all that stuff. Sometimes the wheel gets closer to the roller and the RPM reads lower than what it actually is. Sometimes the tires swell out and grow, pushing it from the roller further, which they would then change the RPM reading to indicate higher than it is. So there's a little bit of error on this kind of dyno, but this doesn't have a direct ignition or crank speed input in, so that's what we're stuck with the dyno. Not that it's bad, it's way freaking easier than trying to hook up a bunch of ignition stuff sometimes. Some of them have OBD2 connection, you just plug OBD port in there, which is great unless you're tuning through the OBD port, then that's no good. But if you're not tuning through the port and you have that available, this one could technically have it available if I set it up. Then you get speed from the OBD port to feed the dyno to. So some have that. Some of them, they have a inductive pickup. Stick on one of the wires. You can do it. Some of them do it off alternator even. You put inductive pickup on the alternator because the alternator puts a ripple out. And then you just tell it what RPM you set. Go to 2000 RPM, whatever. And you say, now I'm at 2000, and it sees that ripple and says, oh, that frequency is 2000, and it knows what it is to the rest. Obviously, if you have some belt slip, which happens in some cars under high horsepower, then that alternator reading is going to be incorrect as well. Some of them have the inductive, it goes on the coil signal wire. There's just a lot of options for how to put engine speed into a dyno. But by far the easiest is to have the dyno say, this is 60 miles an hour, go up against it. So you see I put it in fourth gear, which is my test gear, went to 60 miles an hour, gave it a little extra throttle to hold it on at 60 so that the ECU so the engine speed was as steady as possible, and then I said, boop, that's 60 miles an hour, and that is this RPM. I read the RPM off the corner right here, and that's actually really easy and definitely accurate enough for what we're doing today. Okay, so that's really good. I'm happy with all of that now. Now, one thing that I did is when I started tuning this car, I was doing only VE tuning. I wasn't actually using the TMF, which I have right there. I was showing you guys earlier. But typically, I don't use the TMF at idle because I don't want little changes in throttle position to throw off the TMF or to change the TMF because it could potentially cause fuel fluctuations. However, looking at this right now, the TMF, the blue line, is way more steady than the map line. Look at that. So the blue line is more steady than the map line, the green line. So like if I put it at 100% all TMF, the fueling is going to be that much more stable at this point. The problem is that when you tip it on the throttle, sometimes if you're too heavy on the TMF, then you can get big fuel swings really quick. you don't have enough TMF, you won't get enough fueling on tip-in and that kind of stuff. So typically cars are between 0 and 25 at idle like this. And then also you see this pressure ratio on the top here. The TMF is not as accurate at the far ends of the scale for pressure ratio, especially down here where the ratio is. Oh, they have it backwards. Oh no, okay, so I see how they did that. All right, so one on the far right is wide open. That's where it goes, right? Like that. It goes towards the wide open, which is towards a 1 pressure ratio, which I knew. And it's not as accurate at that point because you're not reading the difference pressure across that throttle body anymore. And without the difference of pressure, it's hard to tell how much air is actually going through it. So they implemented a scaler that is like a fixed value over a certain number. It just says, okay, it's 18, right? And it's not super great. So the idea is that the really high pressure ratios, when the throttle is wide open, we stay down at 0, for example. And in the mid ranges, we can go really, really high on the amount of TMF we have. We can go 75, for example. And that would put 75% of our fueling based on our throttle position. And then, that up, okay. And then we can bleed that out or fade that away as it approaches full throttle so that we have more accurate control over it. Now this is a super blocky map. I don't recommend this. And actually I think the TMF stops around 2 anyways. So we're just going to hit rows there. Then we're going to do this. Blend that up a smidge so you don't have any huge jumps causing weaknesses. But, you know, this is super generic. It's not a great way of doing it. But what I don't want is I don't want the TMF, based on my experience, it hasn't worked very well for starting. I think it should. Like, I don't see why it wouldn't work really well for starting, with the exception of since there's no airflow over the throttle blade, you might not get a good difference of pressure reading across it. I think that might be why it doesn't start very well if I go full TMF. But you know what? Let's not speculate. Let's try it. We save it. So we're going to stop the engine. Okay, now you see it goes all the way to the right there, right? The throttle's not open. The throttle's very, very close. It's at 6%. There's no airflow. With no airflow across it, there's a difference of pressure across it. Now let's watch that TMF as I crank it. Let's see how far it moves. Not very far. So the accuracy of it, when it's even up here at the 9.5 range, which basically is the same as it being open, is pretty low. So if I put this all TMF for fueling, let's see if it starts. It might not even start. Fuck, it might fire right up, right? I touch it, boom, runs great. Who knows? See, almost the same. That's actually surprising. Let's try that again. Now, I suppose that could be considered accurate since you don't have any velocity in there. You're not drawing a vacuum in the manifold either. Then it's basically the same as having manifold or throttle wide open because you're not having a restriction from the throttle plate. So that might work. But I'm actually surprised how well that cranked. Let's look. I want to look at the fueling numbers from the map to the TMF on startup. Let's take a peek at that. So look at this window on the right. So we see 0 across the way. I got no fuel from anything. And then I'm going to log this, actually. Let's log this. This could be fun. And I'm going to wait till that line leaves the screen so we can see those numbers. Hit log now, and I'm going to try to start it. Wow, they actually were in line with each other almost exactly. That's cool. That's cool. I don't mind being wrong when I learn stuff or get to see stuff. Check this out. So our MAF air, here's engine speed down here. So our air, so we start cranking right here. 156 RPM for cranking up to 200-ish. That's pretty reasonable. You can look and see that our map air mass and our throttle air mass is almost the fucking same. Almost exactly the same. Wow, That's cool. That also tells me that my scalar for having wide open throttle is probably pretty damn close to being correct. Because if my pressure ratio, as you see here, the throttle ratio is 964, that's almost all the way open. And the fact that the map and that were identical, and it started so darn good, that potentially means that my scalar, you go here to engine functions, throttle body model, throttle mass flow setup. The scalar here at 19 is really close, and this is set really high too. So that's cool. I'll take it. I will take that as a little small win in our constant battle with cars and computers. But I'm not leaving it at 100. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because I don't want to. I do want to experiment more with it and see how it responds if I'm cranking and I'm tipping in on the car. I'm curious how it responds to that because it sees throttle area as well with the difference of pressure. So I'm just curious if the throttle area would affect it at all. Well, I guess I can stop being curious. I just test it real quick. Yeah, that's why we do this. It's only I keep from starting so easy. All right, I'm going to turn on, and then I'm going to pump it really fast while I'm trying to start it and see what the MAF air does at the same time as the mass air. So, lock, started, and all right, great. Let's check it out. Okay, so throttle effective area is going crazy, but because there's no airflow, the effective area does not affect the throttle mass flow. There's no difference pressure across it, so the area is not affecting it. Look at that. And then it fires up, and it just stays right along with the map for a ways. My foot was still moving, apparently. It's interesting, though, that it stopped during the crank, because I know I was still moving my foot. Yeah, see, here's my pedal position. Move, 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 move. But when it hit a crank, it stopped my throttle from wiggling so much. That is a trip. I gotta think about that one. Because here's my foot, up and down, up and down, up and down. But then here's the drive-by-wire. It said no. It's almost like it went to my initial table or cranking table and ignored my throttle input, which is weird because when you're cranking, you want it to know your throttle input because you might want to do flood clear operations, add a little extra, air on top of it or whatever. So that's interesting. I'm going to experiment with that some more sometime, but not use your guys' time to do it. All right, guys, let's see what we're doing on pump gas here. Let's have a little fun. So we got the VE. That's why this was. Oops. This table here was originally all zeros because we were doing the map-based tuning on it. And the map-based tuning is quite good. So now we're going to bleed in the throttle. All right, now this region of the throttle is not good. So if you look on the right window now, you see a large disparity between the map and the TMAF. And the TMF here is low, and we have a large trim. So this region is not good. If I go zoom here, now all of a sudden I ignore the TMAF and look, I have a negative trim. So really the answer is kind of in the middle of the two. But I don't like that they're so far apart. I want to address them being so far apart. Now the way that's done is through the throttle tables for the area, throttle area table. Or through the TMAF correction table here. Get in this place and be like, you know what? It's great everywhere else. It just sucks right here. And you see the TMAF jumped up on the right side here. And then you can go over here right to modifier table. put it back, say 50%, so it's a split of the MAF and TMAF here. And now my air fuel trim is freaking perfect because the MAF is high by 5% and the TMAF is low by 5%. That's not what we want. We want them to be on top of each other. But there are situations where they're not going to be. That's why we use them both. We use them both because we can average the fuel models. We have two different fuel models going on. And outside environment and heat soak and things like that will skew the different fuel models. And by having two of them, get to a point where they hopefully average out to where it should be, because one of them won't be affected by the cold as much as the other one. They won't be affected by heat soak as much as the other one. One will be affected by, change the barometric pressure as much as the other one. And so, you have each one providing data and doing this calculation what it thinks it should be. And in the end, the average is hopefully really close to where it should be. In this case, by honestly a stroke of luck, the average is exactly where it should be, within 1%. That's pretty cool. But that's not what I want. I want it to be closer right now. Granted, it's really cold outside. And being really cold means that one of them is going to be skewed. Ideally, you do this at like STP, standard temperature pressure, which depends on who you ask what that is, but anywhere from 60 to 72 Fahrenheit, and 14.3 to 14.9 or whatever, based on which standard you're looking at for barometric pressure. I'm not going to get that here. That's not going to happen here at 2,200 feet. It just isn't something that's going to happen to occur. So I don't get the STP stuff, then go back from there. Ideally, the charge air is 80 degrees, like that, which is a really standard charge air temperature. I go through all of that and get it as close as possible, but it's probably just not the cards. All right, so I actually never run 75%. I was just doing that to show you guys what's going on. The highest I run is 50%. I always split them because I do want to average the two fuel models as much as possible. So let me correct that stuff from what I'm showing you. Yep. Get back to where I need to be. Okay, now the cool thing about this is I can go through now and I can do polls like this. I can see my fuel error and I can go, I know, let's say I do a poll and I get a 6% correction through this spot right here. And I see that's 6% from the average. And holy shit, the map is up like 6%. Like, oh, the map is definitely closer, so then I'll adjust the TMF to push it up. Or I get this really large negative correction, and the TMAP is already low, but the map sensor is high. I'll go to the VE table and pull that down. What the fuck's this guy doing walking through a parking lot and shit, doing like laps? People are weird. So here's a throttle body area table right here. So you see here that they're pretty close, the map and the TMAP. But let's just say, so it says 550 right now. Let's just bump this up a bunch, just really quick. Okay, I bumped it up a bunch. Now look, the TMAP's way high, right? It's higher than the air mass and higher than the speed density table. And so if we go back to where we were before, blend table, look at that. Now TMAP's way above where the map is. Now we got a big negative correction, everything else. I gotta zero this down too. It's got 10% on it. Look at that. We're getting closer actually to where the map is, but we're still high, and obviously that was a big change I made on the TMF tables to show you guys, what we're doing here. There's some throttle by area table. So obviously that was too high. Go on. But that right there is really close. It's a little high still. 5, a permanent -5. So this can come down a little bit more. Okay, now just drop below the map now. On it, just drop below the map. So up a smidge more again. Right there. Alright, so now they're really close. They're laying on top of each other almost. And I go to my VE table if I want. And my trim, I'm still a little high. But both of my fuel now, my MAP and my TMAF, are here. MAP is still a little higher than TMAF, which means that TMAF is probably actually closer to accurate because I have a negative trim of 5%. So then we go to our VE table, see where we're at. There's actually kind of a rich spot right there. Drop it down a little bit, like that. I went too far. Looks like MAP is now below TMAF. Yeah, MAP's a little less than TMAF. Our trim, though, is still a little on the negative side. So I could probably drop TMAF again a little bit, which is good because I didn't like how much area I had to the throttle back table right there. I was a little concerned with that because I skipped over the 5s completely. I went from 4.8 to 6 something. So this should be somewhere in the 5s. Right there. Let's go back to that. Okay, now they're almost on top of each other. The trim is still a little negative overall, but 3% right now is really darn close. I like that. I'm good with 3% for now. I might pull a tiny bit more out of the TMAF just because I want that to be closer to the 5s right there. Make a little more. Actually, it's very linear right there now. 4.8, 5.8, 6.8 right here. But then 7.3. So I'm going to drop these down a little bit more. Okay, go back to that fuel again. Alright, TMAF's a little bit lower. And our fuel trim now, look at that, 2% up, 4% down. So now we're at negative 2% overall. I like that. I'm really happy with that. But advance the throttle some. Now short term, look at that. Okay, so now we're in a different zone. And you'll see here TMAF is way low. And we're low on our fuel by a little bit. Let's go there. See my tape right now. We're in the 7th zone here. Let's bump this up a little bit. So, all right. So now our average is still a smidge lean, and the map is high and the TMAF is low. So I'm still in a position where the TMAF is a little low. But we should always check when doing that is what is the difference of pressure across the throttle body at that point. Are we coming off of TMAF? Yeah. Now pressure ratio is key, like right in the middle of the range. So our TMAF is the most accurate there. Which means that's got to add some too. So region's a little low actually. Every region gets let's go like this. That. So right here in this region now, we're exceeding our speed density one. So this area is looking good. That's pretty close to our average. But then once they get right here, we're starting to exceed the speed density. Question is, which one's right? So let's go back to our fuel trims. And we'll go in that region. And looks like it's an average of negative. So Tmap's a little high and map is a little low right there. So map's probably going to come up some and Tmap's going to come down some. It's not that far off. And another thing you got to keep in mind is that this here should have a disparity. When the throttle is moving, there should be a disparity. I should get more Tmap than map. And what's great with that is that by doing that, Tmap sees throttle movement, adds fuel, and that acts as your acceleration enrichment, and means you need less of the asynchronous enrichment because it's doing it instantly with changes in throttle, and that lets you, allows you to rely less on accel enrichment, and it makes the cars run a lot nicer. The throttle response of these is just so crispy and feels so good because there's no delay. There's no delay getting fuel in the engine, waiting on an accel enrichment strategy to calculate how much it needs and jump in the engine. So this is really good right here. I'm really happy with this. The throttle's moving there. If I bring it up, stabilize, still a bit of disparity up there. So it does need to be addressed a little bit. But I do like the way it feels. Okay, right there, that big step up. So that's fine. I'm happy that's that big step. It's very cool stuff out of it. It's a lot closer. I like that. Let's smooth this area here. This area is probably a little too bumpy. Nice. It's really close. We're getting really close on that. I like that a lot. All right, let's see how they did to our fuel trims during those regions. Here's our fuel trim. We got a 5% negative permanent right now. Get in there. Oh, yeah. I like that a lot. That's a lot closer. Yeah, big fan of that. All right, charge temp is high. I don't have much air on the front of the car right now. It's so cold outside. I'm going to add some though because our charge temp's going up so much. See how much that affects our trims. All right, so right now our charge temp's gone up to 58. Now that's a modeled charge temp, right? It knows that as airflow drops, um, the temperature of the air goes up because the charge temp gets closer to coolant temp. That ratio is adjustable. I can make it higher. Like it might be quite a bit more than that right now. And if it is quite a bit more than that, that would explain our negative fuel trim right here. Or TMF and mapper off, right? So there's a lot of different angles you got to approach this stuff. But a negative trim of less than 5%, that's fine. I'm not concerned with that. Not concerned with that at all, especially in this cold weather. 55% VE at idle, that's pretty typical for a car, so I'm not surprised by that number. That feels about right. It feels good on the whole. Yes, preparation H does feel good on the whole. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's smooth. Good torque. Good torque, very smooth. I say good torque. It's good torque for a 2.3 liter. Just for those that don't know, this is a 2.3 liter, so they're not torque monsters, but it is quite smooth. Okay, so TMF and MAP are laying on top of each other. I have a -6 trim right now. That could be a factor of fuel density. That could be a factor of the VE table. It could be a factor of the charge temp compensation. It could be a factor of a lot. Now this is cool. The closer you get, the more the disparity it becomes obvious because they auto scale. But this is only a couple grams per second of air. So that's not a very big delta right there. It's just zoomed in for us really far so we can look really closely at it. It's not a very big delta at all. So overall, like I said, I'm happy with where it sits right now. Leave that alone. Let's see if the boost control system's working out. That's really smooth. Right around 10 pounds, so the gates are working now. That's not 25 psi. So I'm happy with that. That is good fucking news. In fact, let's just do a gate pressure pull. Let's do a gate pressure pull. See what's going on there. See what's boosting again. This car was majorly overboosting before. Didn't matter what we did, majorly overboosting. And we took the wastegates out, took them apart. They were all fucked. All right, let's look at this log. Let's look at this log. What do we got? Let me double check the chat really quick. And audio is no good, echoing. Yeah, it's going to happen a little bit. Let me see if I have more than one audio input active. Nope, just this one. Just sucks. You're going to turn that off, but I don't think it's going to fix anything. It's just the one input. All right, air fuel followed the target really well thanks to the closed loop control system doing its job. Adding a little fuel in the mid-range there, so I had 10% right there. And down to, let's zero it right around 7,400. Nice, smooth control. Timing was 19 at 51 on a whopping, what is that, 12 pounds-ish? 13 pounds? And then, 10-ish by red line somewhere in there for you non-metric people. Fuel pressure is near perfect. Everything is really good. That looks really nice. I don't know how the horsepower and torque work on this, if it's just based off air mass or what. I don't know what they've got it based on, fuel flow, air mass, or what. Honestly, do not know that. It's probably something I should look into. Air temp dropped once you got into pole. Makes sense for 2 reasons. You see the air temp is the sensor and charge temp is the calculation. So it's saying we're still getting some heating on the air temp even at 6,500. And that's probably true. It's probably true. This guy here, I might have a smidge too much. That would probably help reduce that lean trend as well. But look at that, boost was flat and boost is where it should be. Really dig that, I'm really happy with that. Now we have turbo speed on this. I fixed that, it's working. So turbo speed you'll see here on the bottom middle, 80 something thousand RPM. That's where we were at. So that's exciting, that's working. Wastegate was stuck at 10% because I have it locked at 10%. And I have the target you'll see is atmospheric. So the proportional went negative 100 because it's like, oh my God, we're boosting. So that's how the target set atmospheric pressure because we were having all those issues before. So this is great news. I'm really happy with that. Boost looks like it might now actually be controllable. Now I do need to check and see the solenoid's hooked up, or if we just got straight to the compressor right now. So we better troubleshoot. Go check. All right, solenoid is installed. So that's good. Let me see if the audio is that bad. I do have my other microphones I could plug in. For me, tile all day. Tile all fucking day. Although these did go bad for some reason. Both of them did. Let's try my other microphones. All right, so for me, tile, I'm a huge tile fan. These went bad. I have a theory as to why they went bad. I'll tell that to you guys in a minute. They didn't have a whole lot of miles on them. So the fact they went bad is definitely irritating and concerning. But were wow, like it was the valves had like no audio. I mean, I'm looking at this thing, it says I'm peaking. How can I have no audio if it's peaking? That doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, it's maxing the mic out. Oh, okay. So my theory is that based on the amount of driving that was done and the fact that almost all of it was using ethanol, and that most of it was on ethanol, that that there was corrosion building up on the stem, and it would sit, some corrosion build up, and then you'd... Okay, thank you. Gotcha. And it would basically grind on the guide. That's the only theory I have on it, honestly. I don't understand why. I've never had a tile gate do that, much less both of them in the same car get so sloppy with, you know, with 12,000 miles over the head on them. I don't know. There's that, and then there's the possibility that maybe as a twin scroll setup, since it's only got 2 cylinders, the pulses are more spread out, you know, on that one gate, and we're hitting a resonance or something. Potentially a resonance with that and with the control cycle of the solenoid. Definitely a possibility. But those are the only things I can think of as to why that would happen. All right, let's go back to the EMS here. All right. Tuning, engine. We're going to go to boost control, boost target table. We're going to go to the first one here, see what it's set at. 100, like I thought. Okay, cool. Let's see, what's my other target table at? There we go. That's an actual table. Let's copy this table. I love this about the Emtron. I just copied that table, I hit escape, click that. Wait, what just happened? Oh, it was the clamp table. I'm a dummy. Okay, well, let's do that differently then. I'm going to take a clamp table and borrow this table from somebody else. So what we're going to do is we're going to import a table, and we're going to import a clamp table from somebody else that I have that has ethanol on their car. Which one do I use? Let's see. There's a base map there. I don't want the base maps. I want the aggressive maps. Oh, you know what? Oh, there we go. Where'd he go? Dyno Tune September. Okay, so this one here, we'll just import that table from that. If it works, there we go. Look at that. Now let's look it over real quick. Pump gas, 21.5 psi. Okay, that's good pump gas. I like that. Full ethanol, 30-ish, 32. Okay, so that works. I like that. It looks like a good clamp table. Now we'll go back to the targets. And we'll see that this one is set for my foot to be around 240. Now, what does that mean? That means that even if we get into ethanol and we're on boost table 1, that it will still clamp itself at that value. Now, I have these other boost tables in here, and so the way this is set up on these, at least I have them on some of the other cars, is based on this, which is the drive-by-wire setup, or the SI drive. There we go. Brain stopped for a second. The SI drive, you see I have the more aggressive boost table on Cal slot 3, and then the normal one on the other slots. Now, this is still in a, so I go here, look at my Cal slot control. Cal slot 3 is sport mode. And so sport sharp, I probably want the same thing. So sport sharp is 1. Oh, there you go. That's Cal slot 3. Okay, sport sharp is 3. And then sport is here, and that's Cal slot 2. Okay, so sport and intelligent have the same low-level boost, which we would expect. I like that. And then sport sharp is the more aggressive boost table. So we go back here to the control table, slot setup. We'll look at that again. Boost table 2, which is the higher boost tables in Cal slot 3. Cal slot 3 is sport sharp. So there we go. So that makes sense. So right now our target's going to be 21 psi. Oops. First manual. And I got 10. All right. Which is fine. So boost opposition was still 10%, so I had Annie to that. That's good, but we can see, though, that the personal is trying to do its job. So now we go back to tuning, go back to boost. Okay, I saw that the target moved correctly, which is what I wanted to know. So now we start adding, where is it? Here it is. Start adding some duty cycle. And I'm going to borrow this real quick from another twin scroll car, just as a start, just to save myself some time. Come on, what's going on here? There we go. That looks about right too, actually, because that's about where a boost threshold is. So I like that. Now you see this map is based on boost target, which is logical. And it didn't work. Of course not. Of course it didn't work. All right, so duty cycle did go up, so the air must not be connected to this solenoid. I thought it was. I could swear I just looked at it, but there we are, 45%, 53, 60% duty cycle on the gate, and nothing went up. So they might still have it bypassed. I just didn't see it. Let's take a peek. Well, it's plugged in and routed. Boost found position, 58%. Oh, it's initial position. I'm a dumbass. That's what I get for trying to get done. That's initial position. I read that wrong. So, right here, max duty is going to be 0. Yep. Retard. Well, okay, I'll start with 25. Hey, look at that. I got some boost. Not as much as I wanted. 17-ish, 16, 17 pounds there. But I got some. At 25, initial position is 42, 58, 63. Interesting. Oh, you twat. Palm strike the touchpad while you're trying to do stuff. It's never a good time. Oh, it's supposed to do that. Show log cruise position. Yep, sure enough. Let's go back to the logger. Okay, let's go back to that page. There it goes. Okay. So yeah, I was trying to get 60% in there. It's probably a little too much, but 25 is not enough either. But I do want to lower that down some. Okay. Then we'll go back to our closed loop, max duty. I said duty. It's that duty. Do 40. And we'll do that. We'll end up blending all this together here based on different settings as we get there. Actually, I can adjust that a smidge because I know what it takes to do 150. It doesn't take that. It only takes 15 down here, right? So I don't need to be aggressive with the max there. I just know that it takes about 15 or so, but give it the ability to add more because when it gets hot outside, I'm going to need it to add more, to be able to add more. All right. All right. Now, that's beautiful right there. Falls right on our target. Integral was adding about 4% through there. That's fine. That means I can give it a few more percent on the initial. It's interesting, though, that the initial is 43 and I'm getting 40 with integral adding 5. That means I have other compensations and probably from the cold temperature is going to be pulling some of the duty out of it. So that's what I'll be seeing. And I'm fine with that. We'll just keep adding to the base because what that'll mean is that the base will then be closer to when it gets hotter. So I'm going to add about 5% to it and let that pull remain. And then I know it's going to be, when hotter outside, about 5% it's got to add, and that'll just stack on top of it. That will put us that much closer to where we need to be. Tuning. What was that again? I forgot. I'm at 40, and it needs some more. So I'm going to add 5% on it on top of that. So I'm actually going to put the peak above it. I need to be higher, though, because I need to work when it gets hot outside. And this guy is going to be up here a bit for sure. If that target ever gets hit, we're going to be up there. And then go like that. Cool. All right. Before I do another poll, though, I'm going to look at our cams. Cam control. There we go. So here is our position in red and blue and our target in white. Follows really nicely. I like that. Looks good. That's all really good for the intake. Now let's look at the exhaust. The exhaust, on the other hand, is absolutely fucked. It is all over the place. I see a big disparity here. Yellow is higher than purple. Yellow is right hand. The right hand solenoid is the green. The left hand solenoid is this one, and left hand is purple. So interesting. The right hand is so what's happening is it's drifting up, and that's one of the issues with the dual ABCS heads. When you put bigger springs and cams on them, is that the spring is not strong enough in the gear to pull the cam back advanced like it's supposed to be. And so it starts to draw it down. Just the friction alone starts to draw it down some. And we can see that right here. The duty cycles is less on one. Do I have that right? Am I seeing that right? Wait, why is... Oh, I see. I'm not seeing that right. Because this one is, the right hand is actually at 28 and the left is 27. I don't know why it's inverted here. That's really bizarre. Unless it's because it's on this scale. No, it would still be the right way. Wow, that is weird. Blue is 28 and green is 29. Huh. Weird. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the, the cam control section. I'm going to allow it to remove more angle from the exhaust. So now it gets at 20. I'm going to set it down at 13. So let it pull more duty out. That's the first thing. I don't care. Max duty is fine. Integral is aggressive enough. And negative clamp, negative 10. I'm going to increase that. Oopsie. I'm going to go here. Increase that to like negative 20. Let it pull 20 out, part of the integral. And see if pulling that, let's go 25. See if pulling that out is enough to let it advance like it's supposed to. All right. Okay, that's a little better. Not a lot better. The duty cycle C drops down to teens, and the cams eventually start going back up, lazily going back up. So, and here it has to be in the 30s for it to hit the right retard target. So, it's kind of sucks. I'm gonna have to increase the integral a bit and hope that I don't cause too much noise or wiggle with the cams. There's already this here which is causing it, so I gotta see if that's integral or derivative that's causing all of that motion. And it's probably, or I mean, proportional or derivative. Who knows which one it is. Closed loop control, PID. That's where I am already. Let's go to this guy. So I'm in the proportional here. I'm only at 1. That's not a lot of proportional. My derivative is only at 3. That's not a ton of either. Oh, that's not error. That's, oh yeah, error is very low right there. Let's go back to the logger. Let's select an area where the error is high. Here the error is higher. Actually, let's do it right here because I want it to move a little more. Actually, no. Let's not do that. First, let's look at this wiggle. Let's be smart. Look at the wiggle first. Look at the wiggle. So it's 3. Oh, man, why do you do that to me? You're killing me. Killing me, Emtron. Integral. Integral's pretty low. Yeah, integral is really low. Let's add to the integral. Let's give it a bunch more integral authority. Okay. Proportional is only 1. We'll pull some of that out, though, because that can be a finicky bitch sometimes. No.
Ready to go home.
I bet. I'm streaming.
Huh?
I'm streaming. You're on TV. You're on YouTube's. Just want to let you know before you start swearing at me, in public.
Huh?
Just want to let you know before you start swearing at me. I know you wouldn't, honey. So I'm gonna lower the derivative a little bit. So I'm just doing some changes on the cam timing here, honey. I know it doesn't make a difference. I said I'm doing some cam timing changes, but that doesn't mean anything to you. Actually, that's not true. She's actually pretty. Sometimes I'll say what a customer did to their car, and she's like, "Why did they do that?" I'm like, "That's my girl." I'm gonna do a pull. I'm gonna do a pull. Do you want to climb in the back? I don't know. In an hour. What time is it? Yeah, really? It's a tuning day. There's no more errands you can run. There's no more errands you can run. I wonder what our road looks like. Yeah, right. I'm almost done pump gas. I just got to put ethanol in after this. What's that say? 430. Let's say 437 on the bottom. Is that what that says? Or 27? The grade number says max 437.5. It's not bad for only 21 pounds on pump gas. Plug your earbuds. It's a little better. It's a little better. I need to double check that I have enough filter on those cams. Those might not have a filter on them, and that makes it choppier too. Makes the system more reactive if I have too much. If I don't have enough filter on it. So let's double check that really quick. So right hand intakes, I have a 6. Okay, intake, it looks really smooth. And here I got a 5. That's not a big difference. I'll put it to a 6 too. And whoops, gosh darn it. I have mouse problems today. And that one's a 6. So that's not a huge filter change. 6 to 5 is a little bit. I mean, technically it's 20%, but right. Save the ECU. Okay, let's go back to that log. Back to boost. Boost just clears the target by a smidge and then is on it pretty darn close. I like that. I don't mind it clearing the target. I mind a little spike. This turbo's lagging up. That spike's at $6,000 there, so $5,000 is when it hits its peak. Now I am loading to low RPM, and that's not representative of how it's going to behave on the street. So I do need to bring my start speed up a little bit so it has time to load. And I do need to change the ramp rate too. That's also skewing the values a little bit, set for a lower horsepower car. All right. 442 on that last one. Let's look at the timing. I know I got it really conservative. 15 at 6,000. That ain't shit. And then 18 at 8,000. Also not shit. So let's look at that horsepower curve a bit. It falls off on its face. Well, shit, that didn't work. Yep, needs a lot of timing. Definitely needs timing. I actually have a good sized dip at $6,000 when boost comes in, so the timing is pretty conservative there, but Air mass. Looks like my throttle air mass is a little low compared to my map air mass. That's a shit deal. Got to fuck with that for a while. Throttle is 98%, so it's pretty open there. Cams are falling off a little bit already. Oh, for 6,000. So I'm down to 26% or 26 degrees. Now, these are my cams, and I have them set retarded a lot, so you need to throw a lot of advance at it. And it's set that way because I want to be able to pull all the overlap out in really high pressure ratio situations to minimize any overlap. So I could potentially need to add a little more timing to it because even though this is 6,000 RPM and 20-something degrees, probably even add a little more cam timing to it, but I'm not going to do that yet. I thought it was M. Was it M or W? That's what it was. But I'm not going to do that yet. I want to add some timing to it first, honestly, because, I mean, that's nothing for 6K. And the horsepower curve wiggles exactly like this shape does. And when your horsepower curve wiggles like this, and the horsepower is dropping, or this is flat, and the horsepower is going up, and the timing is going up, or it's flat when the timing is going up, that tells you that you are timing limited. That your horsepower limits or your horsepower output is very much based on the timing that the engine's producing right now. The fact that the timing just wiggling a little bit is seen on the dynograph means I need to add a bunch of timing there. I mean, at 8 grand on 21 psi, I only have 18 degrees in it. That also tells you I got to add a lot of timing to it. So it's good, right? Initially, I always start off really conservative on the timing, get all the little stuff figured out, and then try and hit it harder later. All right, so I'm just going to grab this 8 and what? I didn't hit anything like that. All right. I'm going to grab this guy here, and you can see I'm putting about half a degree or so in. What's this do? That's a full degree. I don't want that. I want more here. That's 6,000. I want this guy to go up there. 19.8. I want this to go up even more. I want this one to go up quite a bit more. 21, 22 and a half. Yep. And now let's be at about 24 like that. Right there. That's quite a bit of timing ramp, but this engine, the way its geometry is, it's going to want that ramp. Let's bring this up a smidge. And then let's hit this right there. Like that. Okay. No other changes, just that timing. No boost. No cam timing. Just that. Well, the car gave me the big fuck you. And actually didn't want that timing. Gave me a big old finger. Big old middle finger right there. I don't know if you saw it or not. It pulled some timing right here. It pulled a bunch, so I clearly have the nostril system way too sensitive. Because it pulled 8 degrees almost right here at those 2 points. So I have to turn that down some because that is way too protective. But yeah, it just went, no, you don't get that. And that created a big dip across the power curve. Look at that. Here's a sustained 3 degrees almost on these 2 cylinders. So it did not want that at all. Now, let's look at this a little differently. Let's go back to timing. Oh, let's not do that. Let's go with blog. What I don't like, though, is that it's scaling based on something arbitrary. I don't know what it's scaling based on because I can't see all the stuff going on right here. So we're going to change that. We're going to go It's very top. They moved it. The y-axis label is the threshold, which is what I want. I'm fine with that. Oh, but here you go. But the max value says 1200, even though it's higher than that. Let's change that. Let's edit. Let's make this, let's just do 1800. Like that. There we go. So that could have been knock. I mean, it's a spike in noise right there. So that could have been a knock event. But I clearly have it set up way sensitive. Look at that, how much it just jumps up and how much time it pulls out. So I've got it set extremely sensitive. Timing's only 16 degrees right there, though. That's surprising they would have a knock event there. Hey, that ramp looks better. If only all of the cylinders had that ramp and not 7 degrees less. All right, that's just that. Shit. Mm. 10 before, huh? And then 60 after, or 40 after? I don't like that at all. I don't like that. Let's do 5 before. Maybe even 0, because we're talking when cams are shutting. There's no knock at that high RPM. Even the factory knows that. They turn knock control off. That's something I want to bring up. A lot of the aftermarket tunes you'll see from Subaru coming from Cobb or from all kinds of people, for some reason they'll go, oh, the knock from the factory system is desensitized or disabled after 6,000 RPM, and then they'll bump it up to widen it. No, that's not good. That's not good. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. The reason they do that is because your cylinder, your piston speed is so freaking fast that that a knock event doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't create any cylinder one gain. Okay, so I got the gain cranked up on these 4 at 1.4. Okay, actually the gain looked fine. I'm not upset with the gain. But where'd they move the frequency to? Is that in inputs again? Oh, okay. What the fuck is going on with this computer? Channels, input, engine. Input. Wouldn't think the vehicle. Configure functions, outputs, engine, not control. Oh, there we go. My frequency's way off. All right, should be 11,000. Bandwidth of 200 is good. Okay. There we go. This is pretty cool. You can see how it filters out the different frequencies based on whose strategy they're using. I think it's pretty neat. I don't know who these two dudes are. Blackman and Hamming. Okay. Actually, I should probably make that a smidge higher, probably closer to 12. Because I'm picking a lot of 9K in there. All right. There we go. Keep it out of that 9K range. That's a lot of valve noise there. big things are stuck in that the knock frequency on these 2.5 liter or the 99.5 bore is almost the exact frequency on the second order resonance for the valve closure. And so when you look at like the noise scatter plots, the dark areas where the engine noise is, it happens at like 57 and then times 2, so 11.4. Those are where the engine noise is the strongest. But then also the knock, however, happens between 11 and 13. So you're in that freaking window, and you just like, luckily the second order is usually less than the first order. So, but you're still trying to listen to whatever's not valves, and that's really hard to do, unfortunately. Can I get Emtron to run as I drive my 6GT? Yes. Ask her to finish the tune. Yeah, you can get the Emtron to work on a 6GT. I always grind fourth on this thing. This fourth synchro is hammered. It's a bummer. Need to get it fixed. Let me check air fuel ratio. If I have it rich enough right there. What do I got it at? 7.6. Yeah, that's plenty rich. That's mid 11s. I could probably add a smidge more fuel to it. 7.7, 7.6. Oh, we had a little boost waiver, but that's because there's no timing on it. Half the cylinders there. I could add a smidge more fuel to it. Let's just do that. Let's add a little bit of fuel to it. I am to target table 1 because we're doing pump gasolina. What is going on with this thing? That is weird. I don't know about 7.5 through here. Then we'll go column action there like that. I reached it up some. Oh, interesting. Look at this disparity right now between the TMAF and the map. This real low pedal zone. It's a pretty big difference. And you can see this negative trim. So whatever is making the map add a bunch of fuel to it, the TMAF is better suited for it than that. I got 13% right now total in that zone. It's interesting. See, now the whole car's running rich. I didn't feel it pull timing again, but it did. 7 degrees again, right there, the same spot. But look at these. You can see how much different that waveform changed when I changed the frequency. I just can't see it knocking right there. 16 degrees at 6,000 RPM. No way that's knocking right there. And then 7.4 AFR. Boy, it sure follows that target nicely, doesn't it? That closed loop control is awesome. Because if we look at my fueling, closed loop control, it added some here. It had 9% in this spot on the map. So I need to go add some fuel to that. And it's pulling, what's the total correction? Oh, no, still adding 1% there. It's pulling 2% by red line-ish, somewhere around there. Oh, that's out off the pole. Let's go right at the end of the pole. Right there. Spot on there. Total correction is 0. Long and term and short term are opposite each other right there. But fuel, that closed loop system works really good. Look at just tracking that target. 15 degrees. Well, that's nothing. Boost. Boost, I got a little waver right here as it approaches the target. So I need to potentially, oh, derivative needs some. Derivative needs a little bit of love. It's not doing much. You see derivative is really low right here. And so it's not anticipating the approach on the target enough. Integral, it wound up late. That's interesting. Integral wound up late. Here's 2, 2, 2. Then it comes down to 1, 6, which is weird because the target's still far above it. And then it winds up just before hitting the target, which makes it overshoot it a bit. So that means I probably have my integral not sensitive enough right here, but then too active really close to the target. And then my derivative isn't doing jack shit. Proportional is really low around the target. Now, the thing about that is if you have it too low, then it's not going to react. If you have it too high, you're going to induce waves. But I don't think it's at all too high. It's definitely low. So I got that really low. Integral, boost target. So the integral is just set up on boost air and boost target. It's the same across. So it's interesting that it built up so late. And then the derivative is just really, really low. So that's just really low. We'll add that back what it was. I think I reduced all those. I was trying to figure out why it wasn't making boost correctly earlier. Like that. All right. And that'll give it a little more action. But I could induce an oscillation with it too. That also happens. All right. Now we're going to check the integral limits. So we have the integral limit table here. So what happens is we keep it low, less than the target, or less than where it's going to make it, and keep it from winding up. So there's that, and then at 4, it's allowed to go higher. And right here, so this is why it wound up late, is because I have it set low here, which is good. We don't want to wind up too far down low, because then it'll way overshoot. But because this turbo is a smidge laggy from being on a 2.3 and having housing just a little on the big side for it, what happens is it's just starting to wind up early, or late. It's winding up late. Wait. Yeah, because it's winding up right before it hits the target on the come up. So we want to reduce the authority in that area a smidge, but at the same time we want to allow it to do its job. So it's really it's a balancing act in there. And then you got to do all that stuff with changes based on temperature. And you don't get to compensate the closed loop ratios based on temperature. You only get to compensate. Oh, that's not true. You can use these integral tables and change it from boost target to air temp or whatever you want. And you can take these tables and make them based on air temp, wherever you want to. So you can definitely have the boost control system be more or less sensitive based on air temp, which isn't a bad way to go. I'm hot as fuck right now. Really warm. Let's turn this down some more. I'm wearing too many layers. I'm wearing a bunch of layers. We were snowed in this morning. We had to drive across our field because the wind drifted many feet of snow onto our roads. We actually drove through the field at the backside of the property where there was no snow that drifted. And I got the gain set at 2 as well. So let's reduce the gain a little bit. And then I can look at it again. And our retard rate is still high though. It just yanks timing out like crazy. Advanced retard limit. It doesn't need to pull 8 degrees. Force plenty. Long-term retard gain. Long-term advance rate. Long-term advance rate. Long-term retard. Okay, so where's my long-term table? What the fuck happened? Oh, weird. Okay. All right, so I saw one that I think is definitely a knock event right here. This guy right there. Cylinder 2 suddenly spikes like that, something like that. That one would be an event. So I need to drop the threshold a smidge. And yeah, that right there would be a spike for sure. So that might be an actual event. Still surprised though that at 16.6 degrees, I got a knock event. That's surprised the shit out of me. Why is the long-term status kicking in right there? That's really weird. 0.1 degrees on the long term there. And then that was cylinder 2. All right, so that definitely was a knock event on cylinder 2. Or at least noise on cylinder 2, whether it was knock or not. You don't really know. But I'm going to go for it was, because that's the safe way to go. Okay, let's look at boost real quick. Wastegate solenoid. Pretty active in here. You see the boost opposition? It's a little fuzzy in there. That line looks fuzzy, which means it's pretty active. But what's interesting is that the dynamics don't show it. They don't show that much activity on it. So that's really kind of bizarre that I'm seeing that much waviness when the dynamics are only showing small changes. But you look, that hit boost way closer to where it's supposed to be. It didn't overshoot nearly as much, only a couple. KPA way flatter on the boost control, so that worked out really well. Full boost around 5, run it to 8. It's not bad. I wouldn't mind a slightly smaller housing on this thing. Try and get it a little closer down here to 45, which can be done. Obviously, lose less top end horsepower on it. That one was a good pull, minus the cylinder 2 getting angry. That's 450. 450 on pump at only 21. It's not bad on this dyno for sure. You know, The fuel looks really good. I like all that. I like all of that. Okay, so 2 is the high boost table. What's it set at 298, but it's not actually 298 because there's a clamp based on ethanol content. So the highest you can go is 236 for a target, which is I think what we were hitting. So we were hitting our pump gas limit of 21. Now, that's not much. And you might be like, well, why not do more? Because it will. My question is why? Why do more? Like, this is made to run flex fuel. So why risk damage the motor on pump gas when high octane and ethanol is just a gloop gloop away? So I like to keep them really conservative on pump when they're flex fuel cars, because why not? Plus, if you're going to let someone borrow your car, you go on a road trip and the gas sucks on your road trip, you go down to California or somewhere, like you could very well be in a much lower octane scenario, and then you're like worried the whole time about what's going on. So I'm not going to add any more boost on pump gas to it. I might pull a tiny bit of timing out of cylinder 2. But that's it. That's all I'm going to do. Now that turned on. Just like that. Actually, I'm going to use a little smoother into it there. And like that. Okay. Let's look at our log. Look at our other cylinders again. 3 right here. This region is noisier than the rest of them. It's also closer to the knock sensor than cylinder 1, and cylinder 1 is the lowest. Right there, as you'd expect. Cylinder 1 is the furthest from the knock sensor. 3 is pretty close. That's pretty consistent, though, as just being valves and engine noise. I'm going to lower the gain on 3 a tiny bit. I'm going to leave the other cylinders the way they are. Yeah, lower gain on 3 a little bit. Oh. Cylinder, there we go. There's that one. And .25, 15% off of that. Save that guy. Okay. I'm having bad computer luck today. You can come to the Discord or email my email, man. You can come to the Discord, and there's other people in there that can provide you information too. That's probably the best place to go, I would say, for questions and stuff. Come to the Discord, hang out, and ask your question. I got a bunch of smart guys in there. All right, let's take a look at that knock stuff, see if that retained or if it. Oops, wrong one. Okay, that stayed. All right, so I'm gonna save that again. See if it works. Huh? I have to change the name of that file, I think. Yeah, I gotta change the name of that file. Or that window's just freezing. Okay, well, there you go. All right, let's do one more log. One more, and then let's go to ethanol. Boy, my computer's having a hard time right now. My computer is not liking it. There it goes. So I need to tickle it or something. 2.36. I could adjust that. I can make that come in a little smoother right there, but it's honestly nice because it doesn't lift the heads off. Curve looks nice. I'll show you guys in a second here. Need to make the torque and the horsepower read the same because I'm not that guy. Okay, so before I unplug the computer to show you guys, let me just double check. 3 is much closer to the other ones through there. Still has little spiky spikes. It's not bad though. Looks a lot better. 2 is nowhere to be seen. Pulling that 0.8 degrees quite at 2 down. That's all pretty good. I should lower that threshold to right around 1100. Let me do that before I go anywhere else. Actually, it can go down everywhere because this is not anywhere near 900 either. A little too much. Okay. Yeah, it's sometimes like with Windows. If I change the window, then all of a sudden it like works. So it's like it's waiting for something to happen. Storing to ECU, and it just sits there. If I click this, store successfully. So there's like a update refresh thing that's not working correctly. All right, turn this off. Unplug this. Yeah, I'm stuck. Hope you can see that. Time is it? Oh, sorry. What?
There's such a lag between your screen and what's happening.
Oh,
I put it on to listen to it, and it was like,
I'm ready for. And you walk in here and I'm doing something else?
I wasn't very quick. I realized I heard like 15, 20 minutes ago.
Is that one right there? Yeah.
Is that the final pump number on there?
Yeah. That's all I'm doing on pump. I'm not pushing hard on pump.
Okay.
It's right here. Oh, wait, that's not the right one. Okay. I got somebody else's funnel here. It's not the fuel funnel, it's the skinny one. It's the fill slowly funnel. Where's it go? You what?
The reverse lockout. Right? This guy.
Where's that go?
Yep. Don't fucking know.
Wait, what's this guy?
That's the reverse lockout. So the cable pulls the detent and allows you to go into reverse. But I don't know where that goes.
On the transmission?
Yeah. And it's not even described in this book. It just shows you that it comes with this.
Huh.
Yeah. Super cool.
There's no hole on the side of it.
Oh, well, I mean, it's the factory case. It's either got to go in the neutral switch or the reverse position switch. Right? Does that make sense?
No.
Or does it go in one of those other random
I
fucking
think it
holes?
goes in one of the other holes because it's going to want to block reverse. That's a
Well, the
spring
shift
check.
barrel's
That's
right
a thing.
The shift barrel's in this house here. Which there's
Oh, it's
two.
right here. Big fucking hole right there. Right there. That's your spot.
Oh, thank God. I looked in there earlier, but I must have been the light shining on it or something weird because I'm like, fuck, where does this motherfucker go?
Yeah, that looks like it. I bet that's it.
Looks like the right size.
Yeah.
See?
It's good.
How much did you want in there?
All of it.
All it? 10 gallons?
As much as the car will take. Sorry, I was helping Lane. He's very relieved. I said I was helping Lane. He's very relieved. I figured it out for him.
Nice.
He was stressing. I don't know what that was at. What was that? Do you know? But when
Gas tank?
yeah.
No idea. It was at like half when it started.
Oh, okay. So it'll probably take like 7 or 8.
Matt asked me to get a video of the final pull.
Whoops.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the video won't matter whether ethanol or pump. The video's going to look the same.
Yep. So you just get the next one.
Yeah. Said he was trying to watch.
Oops, there we go.
So he was trying to watch the screen, but I had to stop. Let me know what the final numbers are. Send me a video. So I don't think I can see it work.
Gotcha. That's all right. All poles look the same. Well, some of them climb out of the rollers more than others, which is what we're gonna do here, right, guys? Ugh. That's a little bit longer crank than I want. Need to adjust that. I got my laptop plugged in, hoping some power will help with the issues. I want to reboot the laptop, but if I do that, I lose my stream. I don't even know if anybody's here or not anymore, but Let me see here. All right. We are reconnected. Check my chat. I've been resisting going Discord for a while now. I'll tell you something.
You like 480 before, right?
I don't know.
On ethanol?
Oh, on ethanol?
I think you had
Yeah, it
480
was.
on
Yeah,
ethanol.
it was in the fours
We're
before.
pretty close to that on pump right now, which is.
Yeah, I mean, and like I was saying in the stream, I'm not hard on it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's
Are
2.3.
you still streaming?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's 2.3, and it was pump gas. Like, why are you hard on it when you have ethanol? So.
Yeah, it should break 450.
God, I hope so. Why are you resisting the Discord, man? I know you guys are here. Why are you guys resisting the Discord? It's a good time. It's pretty troll free. I keep it pretty I keep it policed, but I don't have to though. That's the cool thing about the guys I have there is that I don't have to do it. I've only ever banned one person, and the worst I said to somebody is like, "Hey man, why are you throwing insults?" Like, that's it. So I've had to tell some people like, "Hey, this guy has an opinion, and he's entitled to that." That's about it. I haven't had to do much because the guys there are all good guys. So, like I was saying, there's no reason to resist the Discord. We have pictures and videos and all kinds of really good stuff to support. That's a little long, actually. All kinds of good stuff to support facts, information, etc. I need to search for that. That looks a little long, and I know I have that data somewhere. It's closer than that. All right, so on this table here, on table 1, which I told you before is a low boost one, you'll see that the max target is 242, which is what we were hitting anyways. And so the clamp, however, the clamp now, as ethanol has gone up, has jumped up to 280. So the clamp will allow us to do more, but with boost target table 1, we're not asking for more. But with boost target table 2, we're asking for 300 basically, so 30 psi, and the clamp is only going to let us have, which coincidentally is like around 28 psi or so, a little less than that, 27-ish psi right here. So that's a cool feature that we have available to us with the Emtron. I really like it. And if we get higher ethanol, we get in over 30s. So, but right now we're at 50-something%. And I'm going to go first to the time map 2. Hold on a second. So we'll see here, we're blending between map 2 and map 1 right here. So 1.6-ish is the blend ratio from map 1 to map 2. I'm not using map 3. If I set that at 3 or whatever, then that'll be map 3, but I'm not using map 3. I don't give a shit about map 3. But we're going to compare map 1 and map 2 real quick, because I did add timing to map 1 and in that log. So I want to make sure I'm adding timing with ethanol. So I'm going to click it here again. Where's this? 7,500 RPM. I'm going to go back to my timing, go down to where that's at. 7,500 does not show him. Hit 0 again. There it is. Okay, so I'm right here. 21 on pump. So I'm at 21 in that square. 75, 170. Now we're going to go to map 2 real quick and see what that's set at. That's set at 22. So I can add some more aggression to this because we're on ethanol now. I had it really conservative, as you guys saw initially. We definitely made it more aggressive on pump earlier, and we got some power out of it by doing so. Where's my wife at? Wish she was watching my stream. She never watches my stream. Breaks my heart all the time. Just kidding. And we're definitely going to add timing up here. Is my wife in there? Chase? Is Teresa in there?
I didn't hear what you said.
Is Teresa in there, or is she in the car?
She sits in the car.
She's still sitting in the car?
Yeah. She didn't want to hang out with us.
Apparently not. Fuck you guys.
Probably the potato salad smell in the lobby.
That's probably what it was. Definitely that. All right. Okay, so before I do this poll real quick, I am going to check fuel, V table 1. So we'll see here, we were at 93%. V table 2 should be a little higher than that, 98%. We're going to be blended in between the two of these, so that's good. I'll make sure that wasn't too far out of whack. And then I want to check my lambda target. It should be leaner than the previous one. Sure enough, there it is, quite a bit leaner, which is what I like. I like them lean, I like them mean, and let's make a fast machine. Boy, that was corny as fuck. I can't believe I said that. Can't believe it even came out of my mouth. All right, let's do this. Okay, that was on the same boost because I didn't turn the SI drive into Sport Sharp yet, but I wanted to see what it would do on ethanol on the same boost, which is a little more timing. It picked up almost 50 horse. What's that say? For what?
469.
Okay, so 25 horse?
Yeah.
25 horse with the same boost, which is a little bit of timing, and a slightly leaner AFR. I'll take it. All right. But now let's add boost. Let's make it fun. Let's check one thing really quick. Let me just double check my trims. About the same trim, about the same trend. So that means I could definitely add fuel in the same spot in the VE map for both 1 and 2. They're both low in the same point. So hey, that's cool. I'll fix that later. Let's do this now. All right, that's quite a bit more power. What's that say, 530?
533.
533, way more torque though.
Yeah.
Wow. A lot more torque. That's fucking picked up 100 and something foot-pounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're at like 5 pounds of torque and 5,000 RPMs.
Yeah, that's a lot more torque. Dig that. Okay. And that's a 5,000 you said too, right?
What?
That's a 5,000 as well?
Yeah.
Nice. I'll take it. Okay. That looks good.
I know it'll be completely different now that you tuned it, but when I was driving it before you got it to today's tuning session,
Yeah.
this car feels like it just wants to keep going when you get on it. Like, you don't have that little turbo hit and go, like, it just wants to keep
It's just
by.
a smooth pull.
Yeah, it's a smooth pull all the way through. I told Matt it reminds me a lot of like a BMW or a GTR, like how when you get on it, like, it just wants to keep going.
Yeah.
You can see that by the curve. It's not falling off. It's like, it's wanting to go.
Yeah, it's nice. I gotta change the scale on it now. Horsepower is pretty flat. I wish it was climbing a little more. Huh.
It holds it really well.
Yeah.
Drop below 500.
I just want it to carry more though. I want more carry. All right, I'm going to do a big change in cam timing. I'm just going to go straight to 0 at 6,500 just to see what kind of changes we get out of that. Everything else looks really good. I'm going to leave that alone. Cam timing, I'm going to go straight to 0 on the intake after 65. Just see what she does. That's it. That's all I want to do. The only change I want to make. I want to get a trend for how much this thing likes cam timing at the higher boost levels. Fuck you, fourth. Is that exhaust leak? It sounds good, but it sounds like it's louder all of a sudden. Okay, interesting. So I pulled the cam timing out of it right at 6,500, and the horsepower is flatter than it was last pull. So it might not want all that pulled out. Let me pull the last pull up. It's like there's an exhaust leak right under me.
What?
It's not like there's an exhaust leak right under me.
I don't hear it, but we can put it up in the air and check it out. I know that we were talking with him about remaking his downpipe because the flange kind of sucks where it mounts with. Mostly because obviously this turbo kit was not designed for this turbo originally.
Uh-huh.
So we were talking about ideally we'd like to remake the uppipe and the downpipe.
Okay, it didn't go all the way to 0 until 7,000. Whoopsie. Of course it did. Probably because of my minimum duty. Yeah, minimum duty there. Actually, I'm surprised how the duty went up when it towards 0. That seems really weird. The target went to 0. Oh, and the position is off by a smidge. So the position's off a tiny bit. That changes with engine heat. Engine heat gets in it, block gets bigger and wider. These engines are really flat and wide, right? It gets bigger and wider and it expands. And the belt doesn't expand. So when it expands, it turns the cams. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to put it at 20 over. Actually, I'm going to go, yeah, no, that's at 30. We're just going to park them at 30 all the way across right there. Okay, and then actually I'm going to go back to that log real quick. I'm going to look at the trend I had on the top end. What was the fuel doing? Pulling fuel. Pulling fuel indicates less air. But let's just do another pull and see what happens. Oh, let's take a boost real quick too. Duty cycle is a little lower than I thought it would be. Boost is right there. Okay. The integrals added about 8% up there. Okay, so only change again is I added a lot more cam timing. All right, it did not like that at all. Power drop?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, power dropped a bunch, which would be expected. I took the cams and left them really advanced. So the back pressure should be just polluting the intake ports, keeping the cylinders full of exhaust. It should have lost a lot of power, and it did.
Okay.
I just wanted to double check to see that I'm getting the right trend out of my change with cam timing.
Feeding in its own waste?
Yep, feeding its own waste. I'm actually going to work on the exhaust a little bit up here. So I'm going to take this back down to 0. I didn't see much difference between 0 and 20, actually. I was surprised at how little change there was in that. Like this. Like so. I was surprised at how little change there was. And so that tells me I think I need to adjust the exhaust. Let's go to the exhaust a little bit. Now you're probably thinking, well, hold on a second. If you change this now, it's going to affect the pump gas tune. And it will. It will affect the pump gas a little bit. But it's not that big of a deal, to be honest with you. Because the closed loop control on this thing is so good. Now, if I start seeing huge changes, if I see huge changes in power on this and in the AFR trims, then the answer is, oh crap, I do need to tweak the VE curve some. But that's okay. When I change the VE curve, it'll fix it for pump gas as well as ethanol. So just something to keep in mind. I'm going to keep some exhaust timing in here. I'm going to keep it actually -5 here. And I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to do that. This is probably going to help a lot. That felt stronger. But I do have to adjust. Oh, it's solenoid. Oh, good. They actually tracked pretty well. I do need to change the duty cycle on the solenoid a smidge. The PID control is a little aggressive. There we go. Power came back up. Yeah, that's better. It's carrying a little better. So I got a little faster spool too, which makes sense because I never added enough to the exhaust before. Let's look and see what we got for trims. Trims looking around the same actually. Now that's a little deceiving. I should actually have looked at the air mass more because when exhaust gas pressure changes, so does my map air mass, because my map air mass is actually based on my pressure ratio. So if you go here to fuel and you look at my fuel, you'll see here, oh, that's just mental pressure. It's the other car I did pressure ratio on. I'm done. This one doesn't have exhaust pressure. The other car I was seeing today has the exhaust pressure. Okay, so we go back here. That all looks really good. I'm going to tweak the exhaust cam timing some more. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the whole table in the boosted region. I'm going to do 10 more degrees. That's the only change. Picked up 20 horsepower there. Can't be upset about that. And fuel ratio, smidge rich. Timing is pretty conservative here still. It's more aggressive up top here. That's pretty aggressive. But, I'll probably leave that. This area is pretty low, but the torque went up a lot from the pump gas to the ethanol tune. And now we're at 500 and, I can't read it, 60 something? 552. All right, so we're climbing. Exhaust cam timing helps quite a bit. All right. A little waver on the cam there. The solenoid is pretty steady. So like small changes in duty cycle, we're getting a little bit of waver from the cam. And I think that's going to be just a weak cam gear. kind of change looking at? It's only 3 degrees. It's not like it's swinging 10 or 15 degrees. I got a sudden drop at 6K. Not sudden drop, that's an exaggeration, but I see a small dip in 6K right at 6. So what happens right at 6? My intake cam has started to decay pretty quickly already. Maybe too quickly. I might have to add a little bit back in right in this region. That all looks good. Let's go to the knock, see if we any noise. No noise in that region. That's good. So there's no timing being pulled in there. And drive-by wire stayed wide open. Air mass looks good. So timing at 6 is still pretty conservative. That could be where the little dip. Actually, the boost wavers a smidge right there. That actually looks like what the dynograph looks like. A little waiver right there. Okay, that's good news. All right, let's check our ethanol concentration real quick. I don't know where we're at now. It changes as we go. 53, so it's not a whole lot. So I don't get too crazy with it. Okay, I think that's where it's got to sit right now until we get more ethanol in it. The tank is full though, and it's winter ethanol blend, so it's not super high. I don't want to go fucking bananas with it, but let's raise the boost target with RPM, and let's look at turbo speed first. 115,000. What is the speed limit of an EFR 8474 or 8474? Yeah, EFR 8474 speed limit. 127,000. Okay, we're at 115, so we got some room. Let's add more boost at it. I don't think I want to do anything here right now. Looks so nice to 8K. I'll show you guys in a minute. So right now we're clamped at what we're hitting. So I'm gonna add a little more. Oh, I did that wrong. No, I didn't. That's right. So I need to raise the clamp. And now I need to go to my target table 2. So I'm going to support sharp. And you'll see here the boost is actually set to rise as RPM climbs. So where are we at? 275. This we're at right now at 55. That's a little higher than we are at 6,000. 65, 7, 75. All right, I like that. It's climbing perfectly. My stream dropped out. $570. 59. That's really cool. Am I still streaming? I know it went away a little bit. I'm still here. What's up? Boosts. Wish my Easy 36 made that. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna add timing right here because now we're getting to where we're adding 20% in that range. So moving those exhaust cans made a big difference in the VE right there in that spot on the map. So we're gonna definitely have to add some on there, some fuel in there. It's good because that was actually a flat spot before. It's got auto lambda correction. I don't know if that's live or if that's right now. It's live. So I added 4 there. Yeah, a little more than that. What? It's not like it. Why is he going negative? What the hell is going on here? Should be just a vertical interpolation. Oh, it's interpolating the fuel map right there. Oh, I see. Good, I'm just about done.
I want you to come home with me.
Well, yeah.
Are you still streaming?
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
She says hi, everyone.
Dominic said he'd only tuned for a couple hours, and it's been 5.
That's not true.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
You were dropped off at noon.
Yep.
I'm not angry. I'm just bored, and I want to go home. I'm going to get angry if you don't leave soon.
Okay.
My birthday weekend.
Her birthday's tomorrow.
I don't need to cut him short, but I am this time. Ready for a drink.
Oh, yeah? Me too.
And I have work to do at home.
Oh, yeah, we gotta make some cooling mods. She builds the cooling mods.
Is that the highest, the 559?
Yeah, so far.
Nice. Nobody's talking.
No, they can't talk out loud. They text messages. And so if we go to the chat, we'll see them in a second. I'm not in the chat window because I'm doing this right now. Okay. So if we go to the chat window, happy birthday, they said. Tim said. Hello there. You are a very understanding lady, and he speaks very highly of you. Oh, see? I don't lie. Not to my girl. Alright, I'm actually going to take this right here and just do that. And then go like that. And go like this. Like so. We got a 12% correction on idle right now. Holy shit! Oh yeah, that's the UI. Look at that. It's 60. There we go. Way closer. Boy, I'm hot as balls right now. I think it was summer with as much as I'm sweating. Why is that 43? Oh, because I thought I turned off the L, the lambda control. I must have just did that really quick. No, I don't. See the same thing over here. Let's put that hole out of there. Save that. And do that. All right, let's check the log again. Let's look at turbo speed. What did we get up to? Oh, it's only a little bit faster than before, so it's because the duty cycle, the gate wasn't enough. We only got to 64%. So yeah, a little more duty to it. And I want to raise that target a smidge more at 8,000. Initial position, yeah, it's only 55 there. Okay. All right, like that. We go to closed loop, go to max duty. Raise that. Actually, I want to add another row to my RPM. Let's delete this row. Let's go 8,000. There we go, like that. Sure. See, I interpolated that area automatically. I think that's a pretty sweet feature. Saw the trend that I was on and added it based on the amount of RPM. It just took the slope of the line between the last two cells and sloped it out to the. Wish I knew the back pressure on this engine right now. Turbo definitely went faster now. We got to 118,000 RPM. Wish I knew the back pressure on this thing. I want to know how much. Oh, look at that. Wow. We laid on that target. That initial was spot on. Look at that. Just laid right on it. The closed loop control had to do almost nothing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. 565. Oh, you know what I never even looked at? This whole time, I haven't even looked or fucked with the staged injection. So this car has 8 injectors on it, and I set the system up, and I haven't fucking touched it. And without any adjustments, you can see that it did a phenomenal job controlling fuel. And look at this line, right here. Still adding some fuel right here in this spool region. I'm actually surprised how much it's adding right there. But in this region, it stopped adding any fuel. Or not any, but adding very little fuel. So that's good. So I need to add to this region right here. Where'd he go? Where was the highest spot? Somewhere around here, right there. So that spot on the fuel map has a big hole in it. Let's take a look at that real quick before I forget. Where's that at? Right there. Really, I'm surprised. Actually, I'm not that surprised. If any area of the map is going to have a really high VE, it's going to be this area. This is going to be a low back pressure area. It's going to have very little back pressure on the engine, and it's going to have more boost than exhaust pressure, so it's going to move just a ton of air right here. So that doesn't surprise me, honestly. 15%? Number surprises me, but not that it's happening. Let's just get that out there. Oops, I figured out the problem is. The problem is my thumb. I'm sitting here with my thumb sticking out, and I'm touching the keyboard, or it keeps hitting the touchpad. Now you're looking at this going, wait, VE drops later on? Yeah, it does. It drops later on. That's the way it works.
I got a jet, dude.
All good. I'm done. What do you mean you got a jet?
I didn't hear a single word you said.
What do you mean you got a jet?
I got a jet.
Why?
It's Thea's birthday today.
Oh, yeah, it's Teresa's birthday tomorrow.
What?
It's Teresa's birthday tomorrow.
I know. So it's Thea's birthday, so we're taking her out. We have a thing planned at 6.
What time is it?
5:15.
Oh, okay, so I should go too then.
So I got a jet to be at that thing.
Are you going to take this car?
No, I'm just gonna leave it on here.
Okay.
So, anywho's.
All right, dude. Well, I'm going to stop here in a second. I just want to make a couple changes, and that's it.
Okay, sounds good, man.
Until I can.
See you, dude.
Yeah, but see ya.
I got a jet. City has a
What do you want to do with that legacy harness?
What's up?
What do you want to do with that legacy harness?
I'll probably just get a boom plane one.
It's going to save a lot of time.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if Hountech will return that one.
Yeah, you know how that goes.
Huh?
So you know how that fucking goes.
Oh yeah. It's just a thought.
Yeah, hopefully they do.
Boom plane makes the right harness. They're $500, which that one's $500. So if Hountech can return that one, or even at a discount.
I have an account with Boomslang, so
What's up?
I have a wholesale account with Boomslang.
I can't hear you.
I have a wholesale with them.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, with
Oh,
Boom.
so it's 500 retail?
Yeah, it was 580 retail.
It's 580 retail. The harness. I thought that was it. Oh, probably 566. Is the back door key on your toolbox? You have a door key, Dom?
I'm done.
Like done?
Yeah, for now, yeah.
Okay.
Done for today.
Because I got to bounce.
We all got to bounce. We all got to bounce. So I'm done for the day. All right, let me show you guys a graph. Show you where we're at. 566. Looks pretty good. That's on 53% ethanol. So I can't bitch about that. I like to get her up on closer to 80 and throw some more boost and timing at it. All right, guys, as you see, everyone's bailing, and I got to go too. It's my wife's birthday. I got to start making the pizza dough for tomorrow because I'm having pizza tomorrow for her birthday. That's what she wants. So I got to start making that and getting a bunch of stuff ready for her party tomorrow. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Hopefully you learned something. I know it wasn't action-packed like usual, me sitting there staring at the screen, but I hope that you're able to pick up a few things, maybe learn why I'm doing what I'm doing, and hopefully you'll know what you're doing at some point in time. So feel free to shoot me an email if you have any questions, anything you saw on the stream that you're curious about. If you want to stop by the Discord, that's the way I recommend getting in contact with me. The Discord is by far the best way. I have a whole crew of people there. There's like 100-something people in it, but there's really about 20 or 30 that are there religiously. And we share our stories and experiences, pictures, whatever, but also we cover a lot of good topics, stuff about JDM motors, stuff about ADM motors, stuff about USDM motors. You know, we do all that stuff, and not just Subarus. We have guys that are BMW guys. We have guys that are Subaru guys. We have guys that are Chevy guys, Mazda guys, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a good time, and it's the quickest way to get a hold of me. So please feel free to stop by there. Other than that, hope you guys all have a great weekend.